Hello everyone, my name is Michael. I'm here with the Deep Clearance team. So just a quick background on our project. It is helping to provide situational awareness to soldiers on the battlefield. And what this means is, say you've got a group of soldiers walking across the mountain terrain or just any kind of terrain and they come across a potential unidentified enemy cover. How can you get those soldiers information about what's in there so they can know whether or not it's pertinent to the mission and whether to address or not? So, the team members are Josh is a nursing major, Giovanni is biology, I am an engineering major, and Marshall is intelligence analysis, and Casey is CIS.
Okay, so I interviewed Contact 8 this week, and one thing that he had mentioned to me was that our prototype should be accommodating to all different types of temperatures, and along with temperatures, making sure that the equipment or the gear that the soldiers are wearing, it should be stayed on, because especially if you're climbing at a very high altitude and it's very cold, you do not want to take your gloves off because you could get frostbite, and that is not what a soldier needs when they're trying to serve our country.
So one of the big moments, or big aha moments I had with Contact 9 was learning about this platform that we could possibly use for video streaming, phone call streaming, and anything else along those lines called ATAC. I'll touch on a little bit later.
So one of my big aha moments was we were really worried about sound, how loud it could be. So my guy kind of clarified that sound isn't really a make or break issue. You're already giving away, basically if you're going in, you're giving your cover away already. And he'd also like to see a self-destruction mechanism so we can double it as a weapon if it's not going to be used for what it has to be used for.
So back to Contact 11, the biggest part of this interview was confirming things that we have learned before and getting more input, and that input came along with making sure it was real-time video streaming if that was the route to take, so that we can make sure that the soldiers could be able to get proper intel at the time so they understand what's going on in real time. With the interview with Contact 12, the aha moment for that was possibly using a sniffing device to determine if there's any other technologies in these enemy covers, because they need to have contact with the outside world as well. So that could be another way into getting information.
And with Contact 13, I saw a theme of like a multispectral intelligence gathering device. So that's what our ultimate solution will do. It'll gather like different things like acoustic information, seismic information, video information, mapping a structure or cave, and that was like the aha moment for that. And then for 14, I talked to a guy in the lead logistics programming area of what he does, and he talked a lot about the budget and how the solution could go through those rigorous moments as well, where it could take a whole entire month to plan out and finalize the budget in the end.
So with Contact 15 and 17, Contact 15 was our mentor, and he focused our attention on not being as specific and kind of looking a little bit broader out when we look at solutions and try to think of a platform for whatever our solution is that fits in with the environment that it's being used in. Contact 17 also pointed out that some of the research departments at military academies do have technologies and patents that kind of just go to waste, and that we could possibly look there to get an idea of advanced technology systems and platforms that are already out there that we need to bring in now.
So with Contact 18, it was just basically an interview with a member from the CTTSO. So this conversation gave me the satisfaction that CTTSO is a great company to look more into, because they do a rapid acquisition process. So they get our prototype onto the battlefield with the soldiers as soon as possible as they can.
So just a little fast, we basically wanted to come up with questions that kind of would get answered this week, and next week we'll come up with other questions that we want to get answered. So we want to see if there are any other platforms aside from drones and robots. We did see that the only other platform in the field was dogs, but so next week we're going to research more possible platforms, and kind of what Marshall said, another guy who knows about more platforms and patents. We want to know, should the prototype be reusable and a one-time use? Our sponsors, several other people said that we should have a reusable device, so we're going to do some more research on that. And we wanted to figure out the durability and stealth questions with that. So with the batteries, and we kind of validated that they would like to see a 4 to 6 hour, preferably lightweight battery. So we're going to go on and research some more information about batteries and lightweight and things like that.
This is just simply an hour in the life of our customer, particularly the Rangers in the 75th Ranger Regiment. So these are just some clips from that, going into different tunnels and being outside and wanting to gain visual awareness within those areas.
And our mission model canvas, we looked at it as a cohesive way to build information around our solution. And what you see here is the distinguished value propositions to our beneficiaries. And some of the things that talks about are like the durability aspect and the weight distribution with our different contacts. We see that they're from the same areas in the armed services, but they may have different views, and they're all important to us.
And this is an example of our value proposition canvas, and we gave the example of using our sponsors. So we were able to, this was done after the fact we first talked to them, but we were able to really focus on who are we dealing with and what we want to get out of them.
Same thing, customer archetype, men in the service that are physically fit and are going to walk a lot, so they want lightweight things.
So our customer workflow, we'll touch on this later in the feedback, but essentially it is the active duty component. They're out there making contact and the decision-making process straight down the chain. And then our MVP for right now, obviously it's still up in the air, but essentially what we're looking at is possibly a drone that is hardwired back to a gaming controller or something of that sort. All the components are individual components snapped together, and using a ruggedized tablet or even a smartphone, which is what a lot of our interviewees said, could possibly run ATAC. And Michael will tell you about ATAC.
You didn't hear this, but it just went off because I have the worst timer button. All right, feedback, guys.
Watch the proportion of your presentation. We did not need to know takeaways from all 15 interviews. Like, I was like completely tuning out, like by number 5, go and get, and then you had to completely rush through the important stuff, right? So be really careful how you do that, because it threw you guys way off balance to the point where I'm not really clear what's going on, right? So it's very important that you get that balance right.
So 2 kind of small things, like when you're, you don't have to give a briefing or when you're present playing, so when Michael's the only person that introduces everyone, I don't get to kind of personally meet everyone, so I just think Michael all the time, I don't know anyone else's name, so I think it's important that everybody introduce themselves. And then also, just a little small thing about CTTSL. If you're talking about people in an interview or talking about people when you say it's a company, well, it's the Combating Terrorism Technical Support Office, you might make you look a little confused, I'm not sure. Just make sure you know what you're talking about.
I think for the beneficiaries, instead of listing contact 1, contact 3, maybe individually list them out, because I'm not sure if I missed it, but even on the interview slide, I'm not sure if you guys really even listed who that contact was and like what company they were.
We didn't want to, yeah, we have that
Just build on
information.
that, not listing their names, but they represent a population, right?
Right.
And so it's more than just them as the user, the beneficiary. So you want to describe that kind of population that individual represents.
So even though, like, I guess for an exterior part, because we know who they represent, we know the individual breakdown, but that's what you want to see in our
We would like to know that.
outward view.
Yeah.
Let me give you one example. Say the beneficiary. There are 2 ways of doing this. You could say SEALs or Marines versus divers. Those 2 could both be put into that category, but the diver is much more explicit in terms of the immediate attachment to your project.
Anybody want to jump in for WebEx? I don't want to prevent you all from saying anything.
Hey, just a really quick comment. It's Christine again. So when you talk about military into service, they have very specific military occupational specialties, which is basically a job duties. So if you have an opportunity to talk with military people, you want to ask them if they're Marines, what their MOS is. So get that lingo straight, because saying, hey, it's a guy in the Army who doesn't want to carry heavy stuff, isn't a specific answer.
A lot of that was just time-wise that we skipped over. So.
That's good feedback, and you did cut out a bit, just so you know, so, if you want to send that comment, that's great too.
My question kept coming up is what information do they need to know, right? So again, you listed jobs, but what are the pains and the gains? Be specific, right? What are some of the specific things they need to know? What information are you really going to be looking for?
And that's what would actually go there. Absolutely.
And, you know, one thing that was so evident, you guys are encountering all these different options, right? So there's this, like, thing with the, there's just so many specifics. There's almost, 100 problems in all of that. So, at some point, you're kind of, widening out now, but at some point, you're going to narrow in. And even if you just solve one small part of that, you don't have to, cure cancer in 15 weeks. You just have to, get us one step closer. And so one step in that is great. So start to think about how can you organize it to move in that direction. And I think that's where we were a little caught off on your interviews and where we're going to go with that. You guys have moved so far this week. Great job. Yeah. 1, 2, 3.